5:06.
Studio,
And
we ready to
so-
go live?
If we can get the, I'm working with it, I'm working on it. So, so this is the opportunity that we take at the beginning of the month to talk about the committee work that the council is doing as we establish and build on the opportunities that we have, as well as to examine those opportunities that we want to have. And so I want to welcome everyone to the Monday, February meeting for the Charlotte City Council, and we'll go ahead and have our clerk introduce herself, and then we'll go around.
Ariel Smith, lead city clerk.
Anthony Fox, interim city attorney.
Happy Black History Month. Renee Johnson, District 4. Thank you.
Man, how I follow that. Happy Black History Month. Marjorie Molina, District 5.
James Mitchell, the North Carolina Central University, HBCU School in Durham.
Good evening, Dante Anderson, Mayor Pro Tem District 1.
Good evening, Vi Lyles, Mayor.
Marcus Jones, City Manager.
Good evening, Ed Driggs, Princeton University.
I'm on TV tonight at 7 o'clock.
Bring it on, big boy.
I do want to say that Ed had his town hall as long with James Mitchell having a town hall. So I think we had a lot of information out for the public and the communities that over
Good
this
meetings.
week. And so thank you, everyone, for those. All right, Mr. Bakari,
Have we
he's
finished?
did.
Yeah.
Tarek McCarty, District 6. And that is where it dies. So, one Mayfield council member at large. And it is Black History Month, so my month.
That's hilarious. Good evening. My name is Victoria Watlington. I have the pleasure of serving you at large, and happy Black History Month as well.
I am council member Tijuana Brown representing District 3. It's an honor and pleasure to serve you. And with me, it is Black History Month every single day, 365 days a year. And if it's leap year, how many is it? 366 or whatever, that part.
Well, thank you all for being present today. So we're going to go ahead and start with, I believe, our first committee report, which is from Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell, and we'll turn it over to him. I want to remind everyone that most of us watch this on television. We know what's going on, so let's get the opportunity for the highlights, and then if there are questions, that's more important, I believe, at this time. So, Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We had a great meeting led by our Chair, Malcolm Graham, myself, Councilmember Driggs, Councilmember Marlena, Councilmember Bakari. We talked about two important things. One, we got an update for workforce development from Danielle, and she's going to come back to us in March with a whole update and master plan. And then we talked about a new program called C-Piece, and C-Piece is a funding option for private developers. The key thing I would say, the big takeaway, is we need county participation, and so we talked about how we're going to work with our county commissioners to make sure they support C-Piece, and it will be implemented by the Economic Development program for the state of North Carolina. That's all I have, Mayor, for a great meeting we had with ED.
All right, so any questions for the great committee work that the budget, I'm sorry, not the budget, but the no, I'm really confused here. So, Jobs and ED Committee report. Thank you. Any questions?
None at all. Y'all, thank y'all.
Oh,
Mayor,
wait,
I just have-
yes?
I just have a quick
Mayor Pro
comment
Tem.
about the C-Piece portion. I think what the key takeaway from me was we need to work with our county counterparts because they can approve this to take effect in all of Mecklenburg County, which will impact commercial property in Charlotte. So we really need to be proactive around having a conversation around whether or not we are interested in the program and any other double clicks we like to take with that.
Okay. Well, when we have the opportunity, we will definitely have a follow-up. So thank you very much. All right, so any other questions? Hearing none. Mr. Mitchell, thank you. All right, so the next report that we will have is Transportation Planning and Development. Mr. Driggs.
Thank you, Mayor. Our committee met first this morning. Members and myself as chair, Ms. Molina as vice chair, Mr. Graham, Ms. Johnson, and Dr. Watlington. We had two topics. One was an update on the Strategic Energy Action Plan. Sarah Hazel, Robin Byers, and Julian Joy with Erson Young are working on an update of the plan, which will be interesting. It reviews the experience of the last 5 years and also establishes some new goals based on science, based on coordination with international agencies and so on. The plan for that is that we will be told about updated focus areas in March, review strategies and actions, and then in April, the goal is to adopt an updated CAP by council. The other topic was the Unified Development Ordinance, and there were basically two reports there, one related to conforming our UDO to the Senate Bill 382, I think it was, the bill that basically prohibited downzoning. And staff are in the process of reviewing all the places where language changes may be needed in order to conform with that, particularly given that it goes back 6 months, it's retroactive. So there's quite a lot of work done there, although at the same time, some bills have been filed or are being filed in the legislature that might change the requirements and roll back a little bit of what is in there. So staff are adapting to the thing as written, but we're prepared for the possibility that there will be some relief on points that were really probably not intended the way it was written. The other part of that report was text amendments that are in process as part of our ongoing kind of living document modification of the UDO. So there will be council decisions in the second quarter of 2025 on UDO residential refinement text as filed in the spring. And in the third and fourth quarters, they will be working on a semi-annual maintenance text amendment with a few modifications that we were told about in the meeting. And that's it.
Any questions for the committee chair or anyone on the committee? Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do have a few questions about the update that we received. I was able to watch it. I wasn't able to attend it today. But there was a graph that Mr. Pettin showed, the impact of the Senate Bill 382. And I wanted to get some detail or some more information. It looked as though faith-based initiative might be affected or delayed, neighborhood overlay, and then I had a question about ADUs. So I didn't know if the Housing Committee was going to get the same presentation or if someone from staff could give us some detail about that.
We saw a table that showed, because of 382, what the impacts might be, and one implication was a potential delay in the faith-based. The goal was to broaden it to include other organizations. There was some question whether, as conceived, it would be triggered, that 382 would be triggered by what we were doing. So they're just working on it. I don't think there's any loss of commitment to it, but the thing was intended to show that as a result of the state legislation, it could take a little longer. I cautioned them against using the word delay in the same room as Ms. Mayfield, and so they were walking on tiptoes, but I think that's all it is. So we are expecting it to be realized and just as committed as before, but there are some issues that have to be worked out because of state law.
And then ADUs, I wanted to know what the implication would be.
So I don't think we heard a lot about what is going on with ADUs. I mean, the conversation is pretty much the same as it was, but once again, that chart that you saw was in the context of state law and its effects. So I can't recall exactly how whether or not the staff went into detail on the impact on ADUs, but it's the same general principle, which is their state law, but I don't think there's a fundamental change in our policy about ADUs.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions for the chair or committee member? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Driggs. Oh, Mr. Bakari?
Super quick, if we're going to be contemplating CAP changes, increases, things like that, I just want to make sure we have a view of what budget and investment implications it has had over the period that it has been out there. So I would hinge any additional things that I would want to do based on a look back of what those budget implications were and what they ultimately achieved.
We did talk about that in the meeting today, and one thing I pointed out was that as we look at what we're trying to achieve, like zero carbon emissions at a date in the future, a lot of the things that you can do to achieve that cost money. And particularly if we have a community-wide goal involving other people and not just us, then it may be that in order to achieve those goals, we would have to ask ourselves, do we want to actually offer policy or financial incentives the way we do for housing? So I agree. I'm watching also pretty critically to make sure that if we reach a point where we want to invest, we are mindful of the fact that what we do locally has only a limited effect on the air because it moves around. It's a national, it's international. So I certainly intend, I haven't heard anything yet from the discussion about the update in some of the goals, which were more to align with international organizations and science and didn't, in my mind, represent a radical departure from our policy of the last 5 years financially. So that's all I can tell you right now, but it's a very valid question. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next report is from Budget Governance and Intergovernmental Relations, and Ms. Ajmira is joining us, and we are so glad to see that you are better.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Okay, caught me off guard. Okay, so before I give an update, I just wanted to recognize committee members, starting with Vice Chair Councilmember Bukhari, Councilmember Brown, Councilmember Mayfield, and Councilmember Mitchell. So during today's committee meeting, we discussed two very important topics. First is our budget development process for fiscal year 2026. I'm sure all of you have this timeline budget development topics, where it talks about what we are going to discuss at our budget workshop. We have two budget workshops, as you can see, one on February 10th and one is on March 24th. And the committee will take deeper dive into our enterprise funds, water, stormwater, CATS, aviation, pretty much similar process to what as to what we have done in previous years. So from our committee discussion, I did emphasize that we should plan ahead and potentially look at the freeze. If there is a potential version 2 that comes up, we need to be prepared for it. So staff will bring some update, and we'll discuss that as either committee or in one of our budget workshops, so potential impact of whether it's CDBG funds or anything else that we should be looking at. As part of our budget review topics, Councilmember Mitchell wanted us to review the financial partner process in depth. As many of you know, we revised our financial partner process last year. As per, that was the charge that was given to our committee, where we said we want to streamline our processes for the financial partners so that we are not spending 5 hours at one of our budget workshops discussing $500,000, right? Just less than 5% of our budget. So I really hope that we make a commitment to each other, that we stick to the process that the committee and full council has approved and adopted, so that we can have very effective and efficient conversation at our budget workshop, especially during budget adjustments. There was a very lengthy process that was introduced, I would say very streamlined process for financial partners to apply back in October. And all the applications were supposed to be received by December. Marie Harris and Cherie, they have been doing excellent job trying to do an outreach. And this is the first time we had 51 applications for our financial partners. This has been the highest. So that means that Marie and Cherie, they both did an excellent job trying to do an outreach. So I think at this point, if we were to introduce new partners during our budget adjustments meeting, it'll be unfair to the ones who did submit their applications on time and followed the process that you all approved. So I know that Councilmember Mayfield and Mitchell wanted me to highlight the fact that hopefully 6 of us at least will stick to that and during our budget adjustments meeting. So that's on financial partners. If there are no additional questions on that, I can give an update on the second item, which is the MWSBE.
Are there any questions on the recommendation to maintain the policy as it was and to have the 51 partners that submitted to be the discussion point for the budget process? So is there anyone that disagrees with that? All right, Ms. Brown.
I'm only one, it doesn't matter. I don't
Okay.
need to go into detail.
I got you. Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions for Ms. Ajmira? All right.
All right, so the second item we had on our agenda was increasing MWSBE participation in our capital projects. So we had the CBI team provide an update on their work to review our current procurement policy and the policies that are being used for capital project contracting. So as you know, we received this big package right before the retreat. I hope all of you had an opportunity to review that. It answered a lot of the questions and just the process in depth. But pretty much CBI has developed this CIP master utilization plan to increase our utilization rate for minority women-owned businesses. It streamlines our procurement process. It really expands our outreach. It also delivers our targeted support. So you'll see, based on the pilot, and this will be presented by CBI team, that our goal is to really increase the percentage of MWSBE participation and really total amount of the MWSBE spend. That's our goal that council had asked for. And we are also tracking number of MWSBEs that are being awarded prime contracts. And we will also be tracking new businesses that are being certified. So I'm looking forward to providing some sort of recommendations at our next committee meeting. In report out, you will hear our recommendations, staff's recommendations as well as the committee's recommendations. One point that I did want to highlight that Councilmember Mitchell and Councilmember Mayfield had looked into or had asked staff to look into is council members serving on the selection process for contracts. The county, I would let Councilmember Mitchell talk about that in depth, but pretty much the county has a process where they let county commissioners serve on a selection process for architecture and general contractor. In our report, in our package that you all received, staff doesn't recommend that, neither does the city attorney. So I'll let the city attorney provide an update on that if you all have questions, or committee member can chime in. So currently we are waiting, we will be getting more information on that. But that was really the gist of MWSBE participation. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Any other questions for Ms. Ajmira or a member of the committee? Any other questions, comments? Okay, so we look forward to having the 51 financial partners be reviewed, with no exception for people that would be responsive after that deadline, and that we will begin to work through that. And I believe as well, we'll be working through, the city attorney will provide, I guess, additional information on how the process should work if we're looking at MWBEs and who does what. Is that correct?
Yes, we were posed with the question, and then we are going to look at the county policy that has a practice of allowing commissioners, at least one, to sit on or two to sit on a selection committee. And then we're going to look at the breadth of what the goal is with regards to this council and how to meet that goal, perhaps in other ways.
Okay, thank you. So we'll have that. Ms. Johnson?
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify. You related as no exception? Is that what, I know that was a recommendation that, that six of the council members hope that the group is closed, but are we saying no exception, or are we just recommending that we not present another potential partner after this period? Because here's the thing, we don't know who might come to us at that time. We don't know what the priority would be. I didn't want to say no exception, but is that what we're saying, no exception, firmly?
And on,
Yes, ma'am. I have something.
Councilman Johnson, so we're just trying to level the playing field and be efficient as we can on May 19th and May 29th. And we just felt like the application was out from October to December, and it would kind of be unfair that those did apply, the 51 applications we did receive, that during our discussion, we would introduce someone else in the process. So we're just trying to level the playing field and make sure we can be efficient during our budget discussion.
So, all right, I think, I appreciate you asking that to clarify it, especially since you had something in your thought that we should do it differently. So I want to make sure that this is what the council agreed to. I know Ms. Brown already said, you know, she's addressed that for herself, and so I believe that it would be accurate that we all agree to accept the 51 applications. Okay? Thank you.
Not we all don't agree.
No, I'm sorry, with the exception of Ms.
majority.
Brown.
Yeah.
Maybe there should be a
I wrote down
vote.
Ms.
Strong
Brown.
no.
Maybe there should be a vote, Mayor, on that. Maybe there should be a vote, so it's on record who's against it. I mean, who's for it and against it.
I'm fine with that. I think a vote would be helpful for guidance, so that's I'm recognize Ms. Mayfield first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What I supported is that we review the 51, recognizing we have a process that we started last year with streamlining. That doesn't mean that these 51 are the ones that are automatically going to be
Exactly.
approved and awarded at whatever amount
Yeah.
that they requested.
Right.
So while we're having this conversation, I want to make sure that we have transparency and we don't give misinformation or the ability for misinterpretation that the 51 that applied are automatic.
That's right.
Those are the ones that we're going to review.
Eligible.
What I think what in committee we were trying to do based on previous conversations last year and with changes is we were trying to say, opposed to doing what we historically do, where we all vie and spend a day plus in adds and deletes, trying to get 100,000 here, 50,000 there, whatever that amount is, that we streamline that, and, because we've had a full year,
Right.
we stick between the 51 and have real discussions around them of whether or not we're going to fund, and if so, at what level.
Yes. Thank you for saying that way, because it's basically saying that these 51, it's not that they're all going to be reviewed, so.
Are eligible.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I think you did a really great job.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Ms. Mayfield.
51 will be eligible.
Right. Okay.
One
So
other
I think
question.
that is it.
One other question, I'm
Every-
sorry. And I don't know what the RFP looked like. I don't know if it was very clear that that was the deadline, that no additional applications would be accepted, or how that was presented. So we'd have to look at that legally, I guess. I mean, I don't know, or we can just take a vote on how we want to move forward.
Well, I think it would be good to take the vote, and then my understanding is that the people, or the members on the committee really had some purview for this, so. Ms.
Madam Mayor, if you would like for me to
Yes.
propose a motion for
I
the,
know we have to put it on the agenda.
for the council with regards to this issue. And I think the motion really relates to, with regards to your financial partners during the budget process, the motion should be whether to limit any consideration to the 51 financial partners who submitted applications within the time frame established by the council, or by the city.
Okay. The question is now, the question is, do you want to vote on this tonight? All right? Ms. Brown? Yes. I'm sorry, Ms. Brown?
No, no problem. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm fine with voting on it. Mine is a no. Discussion, no discussion. I spoke about how I felt about the process. I'm not sure. Has that been funded, haven't been funded? I don't think everybody's been funded, or there's some things going on. I'm just going to vote no. It's a no for me, because I think we can do a better job of coming together and making sure that it's pretty clear on how they can apply. But I think that some of the organizations that want to apply that may not have, the full structure who I advocate for. And I understand we run a professional business. We had a $4.5 billion budget, or what is it? 4.2. 4.5. We're going to take it up, Mark? 4.2. $4.2 billion budget.
Okay. All right, what's
It grows
your
every year.
number?
But on record, 4.2. But I just want to I just want to see something different for like what United Way does for organizations, and maybe we're a part of that. But
I think that, as you say, there are lots of ways to do this.
yes,
I think that what we're trying to do is figure out how the best way it is to accomplish what I think the the committee chair was saying, is that, instead of it being kind of like, I don't know, chaotic,
Yeah.
might be the word that I would use, but to be able to narrow it to the 51. And I don't believe that we have to say that that's the next time that we do something. I believe that we should always try to improve what we're doing.
Okay.
So if this is a chance that we would have for what we have in place now, that I think the staff perhaps are ready to move forward.
yeah, we're ready to move forward. And I
Yeah.
clearly understood what Councilmember Ashram, the way she presented it. And I understand the way that the council, but just I can't,
Right.
I don't want to support it.
I understand.
I'm in my feelings about the way that we approach things, so I don't, for this particular item, that's it. I'm not angry, I'm not upset, but for me, I don't want to support it in its capacity.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Driggs, did you have a comment?
So if I understand the issue, the question is whether or not we limit ourselves to people who submitted timely applications. And I would just like to emphasize that deadline is important. We're processing these applications, we're ranking them, the staff is looking at them. There needs to be some time frame around that. And so I feel pretty strongly that we ought to respect that deadline, and I'm willing to make a motion. Let's see whether we can get the answer that we in fact limit ourselves.
Do you need to?
Can I do that now?
Well, I don't know if it was on the agenda.
Well,
so-
I think it's on
Hold
the
up
agenda
Princeton
because it's a
University.
report from the committee coming out. So I think
Okay.
that, and the committee discussed it. So if you feel comfortable, so, Mr. Driggs, if you'll give us a motion.
I would make the
Or did someone
motion.
already make a motion?
No, no one's made a motion.
Okay. Mr. Driggs?
So I would note it's 0.01% of our budget, all right, just so we're clear on the magnitude here. And my motion is that we limit, for the purposes of our financial partner grants, consideration to those who submitted timely applications.
We have a motion and a second. I think we've had a good bit of discussion, so if everyone is prepared, please raise your hand as aye, if you're in favor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All opposed? All right, and 2 opposed. Thank you very much.
I think our budget adjustment meeting now just got cut in half.
let's try that again next time.
Trying to throw something
Get it-
extra
the
in
next
there.
time, let's keep it going that way, so thank you. All right. Okay, thank you. All right, so now our next is housing, safety, and community building, I believe, meeting, so.
Marcus, for clarification, Mayor, that didn't include my faith in housing, did it?
What?
She said proceed.
I like the way you call him, manager. The manager's calling them the right way tonight, so, okay, all
You want
right,
to get that on the record,
All right.
though. Seriously, you may want to get that on record.
okay.
Thank you, Madam
Which one of the chairs are going to be a part of this one right now?
So today we met, as you know, the Housing, Safety, and Community Committee Service Chair with my Vice Chair, Councilmember Mayfield, and members Councilmember Brown, Johnson, and Edgemira. And today we had one item, which was our follow-up from last month and an ongoing policy referral, which is related to our minimum housing code. So we were able to get some feedback on some of the work that staff has already been doing as it relates to stakeholder engagement. We got some early insights. We did staff did some benchmarking and gave us some information about where we sit versus some of the other cities as it relates to our civil penalties. We also did 2 deep dives into our case studies, Lamplighter Inn and Tanglewood Apartments, to really understand what opportunities, what constraints, what key learnings could come out of that as it relates to our processes, and how we can strengthen our code enforcement processes and our partnerships externally. Some of the things that we're looking forward to, one thing that I know was particularly important to Councilmember Brown was additional stakeholder focus group meetings, including residents in particular. Vice Chair Mayfield lifted up that we're not just wanting to preserve affordable housing, and definitely what we do not want to do is preserve slumlords or slums, but what we'd like to do is ensure that people are able to get connected to our workforce development programs over time. We're really trying to drive economic mobility, and to the extent that folks do need affordable housing, Councilmember Edgemira was particularly vocal about making sure that that affordable housing is quality affordable housing. And then Councilmember Johnson brought up some great points as it related to enabling folks to, number one, be able to get into housing and have access to it despite whatever their background, and then also wanted to make sure that we're using whatever tools that we have in place to hold property owners accountable, particularly to recoup the costs that we invest when we have to go in and remediate. So those are some of the things that were on the table, some of the things that we're looking forward to recommendations from committee, but I would open it up to Vice Chair and other members of the committee to add any additional comments. None? Good. Awesome. Amazing. Thank you.
No additional comments? Any questions from your other colleagues that were not there? Okay. So that concludes the Housing and Safety Community Committee meeting, and I believe, Mr. Jones, do you have anything? No. Okay, so everyone,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn, second, all in favor?
Good job.
All in favor?
Closed session.
No closed session. No closed